ISIS has claimed responsibility for the devastating terror attack in Berlin yesterday, of course. The horrible sight of a truck having been driven through a Christmas market, at least 12 people dead, dozens more injured. The suspect, as of this moment, is still on the run. They arrested a Pakistani refugee, then claimed that he had nothing to do with the attack. So an armed terrorist still on the run in Berlin. As we discuss, again, moving towards New Year's Eve, we know what happened in Cologne last year, the impact of the mass migrant policy that Angela Merkel has overseen in Germany. And to discuss that, we are talking to Anabel Schunke, who is a model and journalist there in Germany. Anabel, welcome to the show.
Hi, Paul. How are you?
Good to have you on. Now, of course, you've been covering this. You're there on the ground. First, I just want to get your general reaction to what happened yesterday in Berlin. How did you find out about this horrible attack, and what were your initial thoughts when you saw this happen?
My first thought was just, this is a terrorist attack. To me, it was totally clear what happened in this moment, because it remembers me of what happened in Nice, for example, and so it was really clear what happened. It was just a matter of time, I think.
No, we had a CNN speculating for what seemed like hours whether it was an accident. It seemed like they were hoping that it was. Obviously, as you said, identical to Nice. Now Islamic State has claimed responsibility. But of course, this comes after Germany has imported 1.5 million, mostly Muslim migrants over the past 18 months. Numerous migrants involved in the mass molestation in Cologne, rapes of German women. Of course, we had the migrant who tried to blow himself up outside a music festival earlier in the summer, several other incidents. They're saying that the migrant numbers coming into Germany have now dropped off, that there's only 300,000 migrants a year coming into Germany. Like, that's a small number. You live in Germany. You've experienced the impact that this migrant influx has had. In what ways has life for Germans changed since Angela Merkel opened the door to this migrant influx?
Life in Germany has totally changed, I have to say. I talk a lot with other women. For example, they write me mails the whole day. They are scared of going out. They ask themselves what to wear when they go out. And especially the life of the women in Germany has totally changed. And after this terrorist attack in Berlin now, I think the life of all people will be changed.
I mean, I visited Dresden back in the summer, and there was a migrant camp located nearby. And you could see that there was a group of migrants. Again, the locals were complaining about drug dealing. I saw them with my own eyes harassing women. So you've experienced that too, have you? I mean, I receive emails from German women basically every week complaining about their treatment. So you're saying you no longer feel safe walking the streets at night in Germany, correct?
Yeah, this is correct. After Cologne, my first step was to buy me, don't know the English word, I think pepper spray and a kind of alarm for my bag. And this was the first step. And I know many women who did the same.
No, I mean, exactly. You've got sales of, quote, non-lethal weapons in Germany flying off the shelves. They can't get the stock in quick enough. And that is because, as you said, you've got incidents like Cologne last year, also Hamburg as well. Meanwhile, you've got the mayor of Cologne saying, keep the rapist at arm's length. Like, that's anyway reasonable kind of advice to women. This year in Cologne, you have a huge police operation, again, at taxpayer expense. And according to what I read about this, the German police, the special officers in Cologne, are going to talk to the victims of sexual assaults after the attack. So they're not even going to try and prevent the attack. They acknowledge that they can't prevent the attacks. They're just going to console people afterwards. I mean, do you envisage more sexual assaults in Cologne on New Year's Eve in these other German cities? Do you think that's going to happen again this year?
I don't know. I think in Cologne it's not going to happen because I think it will be the safest place in Germany on this New Year's Eve. So I don't think this would happen again in Cologne, but I'm sure it will happen in other towns, maybe smaller towns. Yeah, that would be so. Yeah.
And of course, we know there was a huge cover up in the media in the first few days of that. They refused to report on it. But we have Angela Merkel. Now, this is what confuses me whenever I read about Angela Merkel, because we see all these horrible stories coming out of Germany. And yet, according to the latest polls, Angela Merkel still has the support of the majority of the German people. So it was 56% supported her in the next election. She still maintains strong support from the German people despite all this. So why, after everything that's happened, Anabel, is Angela Merkel still popular in Germany?
That's a really good question. I don't know the exactly answer. I'm asking myself this question all the time. This country is just crazy, I think. It's a lot about the people have high moral standards, and they talk about humanism and about that we are guilty in a way and have to give something back to the people. And this is the mood which inspires these people to help the refugees no matter what, and to support Angela Merkel.
And I mean, that's something that we often can't grasp in different countries, is how deeply ingrained is that kind of World War II Hitler guilt? I mean, of course, because that's what's driving a lot of people, but it's driving younger people still to adopt these suicidal leftist worldviews in Germany. So is that kind of collective guilt ingrained into the German people at a young age? Is it, at the educational, at the school level, that they have to be guilty about Hitler and World War II? Is that actually in the schooling?
Yeah, this is indeed in the schooling. It's about education, and I think it's not only the World War II. It's new topics like the Third World and what we have done to the Third World and things like that. And it's a mixture of both things, the World War II and these Third World things, and war in Syria and Iraq and Afghanistan and all these stuff together. Yeah.
And I mean, it's so bad at this point. There's quite a famous video, which I put up on Twitter earlier today, of Angela Merkel. She's at a public event. One of her ministers hands her a German flag, and she kind of shakes her head and says, no, 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 and then hands the German flag to somebody else. She didn't even want to be seen on stage with a German flag, the flag of her own country. There's also video of, people go on marches, on protests. They wave the German flag. The police say, you can't wave the German flag. It might offend somebody. It might stir up trouble. So how bad is the situation in Germany where your own flag is now seen as offensive and can't even be shown in public, and your own chancellor is ashamed of her own flag?
This is so typical German. The people have such a problem with patriotism and to be proud of their own country. This is a big problem in Germany, and it's also a big problem in case of integration of refugees and migrants, because of the fact we are ashamed of our own identity, of our own country, and this is not very attractive for migrants to identify with people of a country who are ashamed of their own national identity.
Exactly, and you saw the video there. We just played it of Merkel ashamed of her own flag. You also have something else that I've noticed, and I included this in my recent video. You have government commercials on television in Germany where it's a blonde German woman saying how wonderful hijabs are and that Germans need to embrace multiculturalism. You have Christmas markets, much like the one that was just attacked by an Islamic terrorist, where they have Christmas songs Islamified. They take original Christian songs, Islamify them, make Muslim migrants sing them. They broadcast this live on television. I mean, you talked about the schooling, the education. In terms of culture, in terms of television, do you see this in the culture where they're indoctrinating people to kind of accept this idea that they have to integrate with the migrants, not that the migrants have to integrate into Germany? Have you seen that in the culture?
Yeah, it's all about cultural relativism. In Germany, you have this in school, you have this at university. It's the whole, it's the topic. Overall, cultural relativism, and you have to tolerate the culture of the migrants, of people who wear a hijab and stuff like that. But the problem is they don't tolerate our culture, and this is the problem, because we are not proud enough to protect our own identity.
I mean, that's when it's a problem, when you're asked to tolerate a culture which at its very root is barbaric, is regressive, is itself intolerant. In a supposedly liberal, tolerant society, you're being asked to tolerate that. It makes absolutely no sense. The other thing that shocked me about Germany, of course, you had the head of the Green Party, Stephanie von Berg, come out last year, and she celebrated the fact that Germans, native Germans, will be a minority in their own cities within 30 years. She got up in front of the parliament and celebrated that fact because it would prove right-wingers wrong. So they're talking about the demographic suicide of the German people just to prove a point. I mean, Anabel, do you think that they're doing that just for political power, so they can have all these migrants come in and vote for left-wing parties? Or is there something more to that demographic suicide of the German people?
It's definitely something more, because members of the Green Party, or a lot of members of the Green Party in Germany, are something that we call anti-Deutsche, anti-Germans. This is, some kind of ideology of people who really hate Germany and the German identity, and who are quite happy, if we delete ourselves from the world.
It's amazing. Now, on top of this, we've got Facebook, Twitter, other social media websites, not only censoring people. In fact, the German government demanded that Facebook delete certain content within 24 hours, or they would fine the company, they would fine Facebook. You were censored on Facebook recently in relation to this migrant crisis. Tell us what happened.
I was blocked from Facebook for about 30 days because of posting a mail I got from a migrant person who offended me in a real bad way. He said to me, I really need the cock in me, and I posted this mail and got blocked from Facebook for 30 days.
So, but basically, you were sexually harassed, at least on message, by one of these migrants. That is harassment, according to Facebook's own policies. You posted that image on Facebook and said, look, I'm being harassed by this individual. And he wasn't banned. You were banned. So that gives you an insight into how Facebook is treating this. Now, as we know that the Stasi is involved, former Stasi official involved with censorship with Facebook and with the German government. Absolutely amazing And now Germans are getting home visits from the police if they criticize the migrant policy in their own country. It's absolutely frightening. Where do you see this going, Anabel? Do you think Merkel will be forced to change her policy? Will she be elected in the election next year? Is it the end for Angela Merkel, or do you think this will continue to get worse?
It's not the end of Angela Merkel. As you already said, the Germans, still vote for Angela Merkel, and I'm pretty sure that they will vote for her in the next elections in 2017. And so nothing will change. And this is the big problem for all the people here who criticize Angela Merkel's policy. Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing. I mean, I thought Sweden would be the first European country to really have its back broken, but Germany is certainly providing stiff competition. Just here in the final minute, Anabel, tell people where they can find you on Twitter and how they can read your articles.
They can read my articles on Tichys Einblick and also on Huffington Post. The English translations are coming up on my website, anabelschunke.com. You can find me also on Twitter, Annie Rockstar, and on Facebook, Anabel Schunke.
Okay, and I'll be sure to link to those pages when this interview goes up on YouTube. Journalist for the Huffington Post and other outlets, Anabel Schunke, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks, Paul.
Thank you. Take care. There goes Anabel Schunke from Germany. And again, ISIS is now claimed responsibility for yesterday's attack in Berlin. Of course, now they're building barriers around every single Christmas market in Berlin, not building barriers around their own border. In fact, not even enforcing their own border laws. 300,000 migrants still coming in. At first they were saying, yes, it's been 1.5 million migrants over the past 18 months, but it's dropping off. We're scaling back the policy, only going to be 300,000 every single year now. And that is the total immigration into the UK every year. Germany is doing it just on that one level alone. We'll be back with the final segment of the Alex Jones Show after the break. Don't go away.